Candidates are being asked about their own connections to or impressions of an array of celebrities, and with no explanation why, at least not yet. The parlor games have begun, my friends. Everybody is trying to connect the dots between the shiny, famous names and the beleaguered rap star Diddy.
Affleck actually recently walked away from J-Lo because these allegations were coming out.
And isn't there even some concern that, or proof that Pastor T.D. Jakes?
Well, I'm getting right there. So there's this big list that Diddy said, I'm not going down alone.
You look in the ocean, you see two people float. You can only pull up one because that's how much room you have on your raft. You look in the oceans, you see Ben Affleck, and you see Diddy.
He joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she had to say, as well as those...
Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J-Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them. People have started digging into her past and it raises some...
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
Enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J-Lo's.
Social media exploded last night with a wild headline. Judge orders Jennifer Lopez arrested after Ben Affleck testifies against her in the Diddy case. It sounds sensational. Handcuffs, courtroom gasps, Hollywood icons dragged into a federal scandal. But open the docket and you'll find no warrant, no testimony, not even a hearing date that lists either star. So what's really happening? Tonight we rip apart the rumor mill, rewind to that infamous 1999 nightclub shooting, and track how a trafficking indictment against Sean Diddy Combs suddenly put J-Lo back under the microscope. Buckle up, the truth is wilder than the clickbait you saw. TikTok lit the fuse. A 30-second clip, courtroom B-roll, robotic voiceover blared. A federal judge just signed arrest warrants for Jennifer Lopez after Ben Affleck ratted her out in Diddy's racketeering trial.
Why would we need a 50-foot bed?
I mean, T.D. Jakes ain't small. I'm just saying. If it's a group thing, it's a group thing. You gotta think about, you got Rick Ross, you got Khaled, we talk about heavy hitters.
The same snippet was ripped to YouTube gossip channels and cross-posted by Facebook breaking news pages. One upload alone topped 100,000 views overnight. Each post followed the same recipe. Shock headline, unnamed, court insider, 0 docket details. No judge, no case number, not even a clerk's stamp. Some videos recycled footage from Diddy's 2001 acquittal to imply a current hearing. Meanwhile, a search of PACER notices and accredited pool reports shows no Ben Affleck testimony listed for United States versus Combs. The algorithm, however, rewards outrage over accuracy, so every share pushed the rumor higher in recommended feeds. Two facts made the claim stickier. First, Lopez was briefly arrested after the 1999 Club NYC shooting. Nugget mainstream outlets revisited this month, giving the rumor an air of legitimacy.
Denounced those allegations and were like, this is false, and
Liars.
They were saying, yeah, should they speak up now?
It's getting a little too late for those who are complicit. Stevie J should be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged.
Second, her sudden social media silence during Diddy's pre-trial hearings left a vacuum that speculation rushed to fill. Together, an old truth, a fresh scandal, and a lack of verified updates created the perfect storm. Exactly the mix that keeps viewers doom-scrolling for more. Forget rumor, here's the hard paperwork. Federal prosecutors in New York have piled a 70-page indictment on Sean Diddy Combs, painting him as the architect of a covert empire that mixed flashy parties with something far darker. The charges bundle racketeering, human trafficking conspiracies, intimidation, and weapons violations stretching from 2008 to 2023. Prosecutors argue it wasn't random chaos. It was a well-oiled network of employees, fixers, and enforcers who kept victims quiet and the spotlight off anything incriminating.
Yeah, seriously, it's like insane.
Publicly, openly, like all in.
Yes, it's like J-Lo was like his ex-girlfriend, and it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm like, well, wait a second. So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
That's why the trial date matters. Under RICO rules, the government has to show an ongoing enterprise held together by common goals. If the jury agrees, every act, threats, hush payments, even the infamous Mansion Freak Night videos, threads into one giant legal rope. Diddy's team pushed for bail 3 times, dangling a $50 million bond, house arrest, and round-the-clock GPS. 2 judges shot it down, citing clear and convincing evidence he'd intimidate witnesses if released. The defense has now kicked the plea upstairs to the Second Circuit, a long-shot Hail Mary because appellate courts rarely overrule trial judge discretion on detention.
Now, one of the biggest moments came early when the defense asked the judge to declare a mistrial. The motion rejected. We also heard from a former stylist at Diddy's company. Now, he testified that Diddy threatened to leak tapes of her online.
Meanwhile, discovery is a flood, terabytes of security footage, encrypted chats, and flight logs now in defense hands. Prosecutors say 80-plus witnesses stand ready, from ex-assistants to airline staff who logged those mysterious midnight charters. Yet in all those filings, one name is absent: Ben Affleck. And Jennifer Lopez appears only once, inside a footnote referencing the 1999 club shooting. Proof that, on paper at least, today's case is about Diddy, not Bennifer.
I had my own sparks, you know what I'm saying? Look at honey, my own sparks was just flying all off me. She was married at the time, so I was in my own relationship, so I had to have self-control.
Scroll through Pacer, skim every pool report, and one thing jumps out: Ben Affleck's name never appears. The official witness lists released for the first 2 weeks of United States vs. Combs read like a who was who of bad boy insiders. Cassie Ventura, Kid Cudi, ex-assistant Mia, even a professional dancer, but not a single Hollywood A-lister from the Affleck-Lopez orbit. So where did Affleck testified come from? Trace it back and the breadcrumb trail stops at a Suge Knight jail podcast anecdote. Knight claimed, without dates, documents, or corroborating voices, that the FBI slipped Affleck surveillance tapes seized in the Diddy raids, allegedly showing Jennifer Lopez in compromising scenes. A Reddit gossip thread amplified the quote. YouTube narrators turned it into Ben flipped on J-Lo in court. Reality check. None of the unsealed motions, subpoenas, or exhibits submitted since the October 2024 indictment list Affleck. Reuters docket summaries mention new defense objections and bail appeals, but still no Hollywood witnesses outside the music industry. Could the government add him later? Technically, yes. Prosecutors can file a superseding witness list up to 30 days before trial. Yet, veteran court reporters note that celebrity testimony is usually flagged early because marshals need extra security time. No such logistical notice has surfaced. Affleck's alleged courtroom cameo exists only in viral storytelling. Until a clerk stamps his name on an official filing or reporters spot him in the federal courthouse, the actor remains a spectator, not a star witness. Flashback to 11:50 p.m., December 27, 1999. Midtown's Club New York is buzzing when Sean, Puffy Combs, and freshly minted superstar Jennifer Lopez glide past velvet ropes with 21-year-old protege Jamal Shine Barrow, celebrating his soon-to-drop bad boy debut. A spilled drink turns hostile. Seconds later, a Ruger 9mm flashes and 3 patrons hit the floor, blood spraying champagne buckets.
Beat a woman who was bleeding and then blamed everybody else in the room? That's the kind of guy I'm supposed to give the benefit of the doubt to? This is just one more in a pile of steaming you-know-what.
Talent agent Natanya Rubin takes a bullet to the cheek. The celebrity trio bolts, racing 12 downtown blocks in the frantic chase before NYPD stops their Lincoln Navigator on the sidewalk. An officer later states he saw a female hand pitch the pistol into a gutter beside the SUV. Lopez is booked, photographed, and freed within 8 hours. Combs and his bodyguard face gun charges, and Shine is hit with attempted murder counts. In 2001, a jury clears Combs, but Shine serves 9 years, while Rubin, fragments still lodged near her jaw, keeps insisting Combs fired the weapon. Fast forward. Homeland Security agents reviewing Diddy's 2024 trafficking file quietly reopened the 1999 evidence, ballistics, witness statements, and that tossed gun. to see if it threads into a wider criminal enterprise. Every new leak drags reporters back to that frigid night, wondering whether the loose thread marked J-Lo is about to tighten. 2 decades-old bullets are suddenly evidence again. In March 2024, Homeland Security agents told reporters they were reviewing the 1999 Club New York shooting while combing through sex trafficking allegations against Sean Combs. Investigators aren't chasing a cold case murder charge. They're hunting connective tissue for a RICO narrative that stretches from champagne-soaked Manhattan nights to Malibu mansions raided in 2024. The catalyst was Rodney Lil Rod Jones's civil RICO lawsuit. In 183 pages of graphic claims, Jones alleges Combs bragged that he shot people, bribed jurors, and used then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez as a gun mule to sneak a Ruger into the club, an accusation echoed in a New York Post follow-up quoting unnamed federal sources who now want the ballistic file reopened. Legally, expired gun possession statutes make fresh charges against Lopez unlikely. But prosecutors don't need a new indictment, they need pattern evidence. If they prove Combs' alleged enterprise dates back to 1999, every later act, threats, hush payments, freak night coercion, threads into the same criminal rope.
That is being lumped onto that man every single day, and it doesn't matter how expensive and skilled his attorneys are. You get the case you're given.
That's why detectives are re-interviewing Natanya Rubin, still adamant the first trigger she saw belonged to Diddy. The 1999 shots may never land anyone in jail again, yet they could fortify the present-day RICO case and keep Lopez's name floating perilously close to a federal subpoena. Headlines scream arrest warrant, but translating rumor into an indictment faces 3 towering hurdles. First, the clock. Federal firearms counts carry a 5-year statute of limitations. Even aggravated gun trafficking tops out at 10. Those windows slammed shut years ago. Unless prosecutors link the 1999 gun to a continuing RICO act, say proof that it funded or facilitated later crimes, Lopez is outside ordinary charging range. Second, evidence. The recovered Ruger never yielded a clean ballistic match, and Club New York security tapes were recorded over in 2000. To tag Lopez as a gun mule today, agents would need new physical proof or a co-conspirator's credible, corroborated confession. Anything less is hearsay. Third, relevance. The current indictment frames Lopez as footnote, not linchpin. Her name appears only in a lawsuit and news leaks, never in the grand jury narrative that anchors the RICO counts. Prosecutors might still subpoena her. Grand jury testimony is powerful leverage and requires 0 probable cause threshold, but that is a far cry from handcuffs. Legal analysts quoted by Forbes and the Post agree her greatest risk is reputational. A sworn statement could expose contradictions with her 2-to-1 trial deposition and ignite perjury scrutiny. But perjury has its own 5-year clock, and the government would have to show willful falsehood, not just fading memory. Jennifer Lopez is unlikely to see a booking photo over the 1999 gun. Her practical worry is a subpoena that drags private history into a public circus. Embarrassing, costly, but not the orange jumpsuit finale rumor-mongers crave. In celebrity news, absence speaks as loudly as any press tour, and Jennifer Lopez's sudden quiet has become catnip for rumor channels.
Like, what the fuck is going on? How many guys were on video saying, ain't no party like a Diddy party? LeBron?
When paparazzi shots dried up and Lopez skipped 2 red carpet events in mid-May, TikTok commentators stitched montages titled J-Lo in hiding, framing her muted feed as proof she'd been subpoenaed in the Diddy probe. The narrative escalated days later when Economic Times ran a timeline noting Ben Affleck's August 20th divorce filing, placed just weeks after federal agents stormed Combs' homes, then asked if compromising tapes from those raids triggered the split. Enter Suge Knight. From a prison phone podcast, the former Death Row CEO claimed the FBI handed Affleck footage allegedly showing Lopez at Diddy's mansion parties. Fuel for 100 thumbnails reading, Ben saw the tapes, despite no corroborating evidence or court reference. Mainstream outlets have stayed cautious, but gossip channels thrive on the algorithm's taste for shock. So each unverified claim snowballs into breaking news reposts across Facebook, Instareels, and YouTube Shorts. Making matters messier, legacy clips resurface weekly. A 2002 Diane Sawyer interview where Lopez dodges questions about fear during her Diddy era, or fan-cut montages hinting she knew more than she said. Out-of-context throwbacks give old sound bites new life, reinforcing a feedback loop. Less comment from Lopez means more speculation, which in turn pressures her to stay silent to avoid deposition-style cross-examination by the internet. The result is a perfect digital storm: legal ambiguity, marital drama, and a star who won't answer, creating an ever-spinning content machine where one reposted whisper can masquerade as tomorrow's headline. Here's the brutal truth. The J.Lo warrant frenzy is a masterclass in digital hysteria, not criminal procedure. One side swears Lopez is moments from a perp walk, convinced sensational leaks, Suge Knight sound bites, and Affleck divorce papers equal ironclad evidence. The other side rolls its eyes, pointing to empty docket sheets and expired statutes. Both camps are dug in, trading outrage, while the real court record, thousands of pages deep, barely mentions Lopez at all. Meanwhile, Diddy faces a mountain of trafficking and racketeering counts that could lock him away for life. Yet the narrative machine prefers a shinier headline implicating a global pop icon. Believe what you want, but facts sit in federal filings, not TikTok voiceovers. Until a clerk stamps her name on a subpoena or an indictment, Jennifer Lopez remains gossip's favorite phantom defendant. Immortal on the algorithm, non-existent in the courtroom, the circus keeps spinning, justice grinds on, and the gap between them only widens.